looking forward to the championship, Matt. And we did it last year. I think it might have been during the championship, but this year we'll revisit our Limerick MVPs, most valuable players, not necessarily the best, but so from my understanding is who are the key components for Limerick to function. Now, narrowing that to 5 is a really thankless job, a difficult job.
I suppose, I presume you're basing it on the league.
Yeah, to an extent. I suppose league and maybe.
Or are you making a general statement because there's a difference?
I don't know. I threw down so many names, man. I don't know what I was just looking at the players and how good they were. But I think what I was looking at over the course of maybe the last 2 or 3, I suppose since the All-Ireland run started, and looking forward into this year's championship, who do I think Limerick need the most on the field at any given time? Now, everyone can have an off day and all of them can have an exceptionally good day. But for me, it was who probably makes them tick the most. Now, to be fair, there's probably 12 or 13, 14, 15 guaranteed to start. It's very hard to see who breaks into the team, but that's my thinking. Who are the main men in terms of making Limerick Limerick? Now, your criteria might be different, but that's what we're here to debate. I'll run through last year's list from 2022. We both had Nikki Quaid, both had Will Donoghue, both had Keane Lynch. I had 𝘠𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘠𝘬 and Declan Hannon, and you had Barry Nash and Seamus Flanagan as your other two. So that's where we differentiated. And this year, I don't know. We might do it live. We might see, but I think we'll both agree on the man, and he wears number 1. I think we'll both agree with that, Nikki Quaid. And I saw an article during the week that said he is the most irreplaceable player. And he doesn't have his usual backup. Dave McCarthy is a fine goalkeeper, but just doesn't have the experience that Barry Hennessy had. So I think even Nikki is more important now than he was when we did this 12 months ago. But I'm sure we both have Nikki in there.
Oh, definitely. No question about it.
Yeah, we had Joe on last week, and he was talking about the strides Nikki has made, and we've spoken at length about Nikki. But is it fair to say he's Limerick's greatest goalkeeper? Of all time?
Yeah. Look, Limerick have had great goalkeepers in the past, and including Joe, who was in with us last week. But what Nikki has achieved has been simply phenomenal. He's brought the whole goalkeeping thing to a new level, Jack. Absolutely new level. Who'll ever forget that clearance to Tom Morrissey in the semi-final and Tom sending it over the bar? His appreciation of what's on and what's not on and what's happening the whole into the field, absolutely simply phenomenal. And to pinpoint it to where Tom Morrissey was going to be, that's only a snapshot, Jack. But yeah. Look, irreplaceable, indispensable.
Yeah. And he was one of 3 that started that All-Ireland quarter-final against Kilkenny in 2012. He came on the panel when the strike was happening. Nikki Quaid's career will be remembered for all that he won, but he will have spent probably, by the time he retires, half his career, in the doldrums, seeing Limerick at the lowest of lows, and he's so deserving to be there at the highest of highs, and so integral. Probably doesn't get appreciated as much as he does, because, as we said last year, he never makes a mistake. So it's very easy to point out someone's mistakes. It's probably harder to point out when they do something exceptional in goals. But he is just Mr. Consistency, always 8 or 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10.
But oh yeah, absolutely, Jack. But that's his inter-county career. Do not forget his career with Effin.
Yeah,
he was central to Effin going places where Effin had never gone before. They won the Limerick Junior Championship for the first time. They followed it up the following year by winning the Limerick Intermediate Championship. And not only that, they went on and won the Munster Clubs Championship. Nicky Quaid was centre back, the outstanding performer and all that. And we saw last year again when they won the county intermediate championship. And Effin, and they're drawn from a strictly rural club, Jack. And they mixed it with the big boys. When they went up senior, they survived at senior level for 4 years. And Nicky Quaid was one of the main reasons why they did.
Yeah.
Like this man has had an absolutely phenomenal career, and I've spoken about this before, about his contribution. We know what his contribution to Limerick, and we know what his contribution to Effin. I've just outlined it there. But Jack, there's another side to him. His contribution to the game, to the association off the field, is simply unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, an absolute gentleman, brilliant goalkeeper, brilliant man, brilliant player. Blessed to have him and have had him for 13 years now, and it'll be a sad day when Nicky finally hangs up the boots. But hopefully it's not anytime near in the future. Give us your second name, Matt. You've jotted down. They're not in order, but just we got 5.
Declan Hannon.
Yeah, and a change from last year that I had him and you didn't have him, but obviously he is crucial. Why did you pick him?
Yes, absolutely. Every day he goes out, and we have this man of the match thing and all that sort of thing. He could be named man of the match most days, but he makes the game look so simple, and he does difficult things and makes him look simple. But Jack, his leadership is absolutely incredible, and his contribution to Limerick over the years. You don't be a 4 times All-Ireland winning captain for nothing, Jack. That in itself is a phenomenal achievement. But what he has achieved as a hurler on the field is simply phenomenal. And like Nicky Quaid, when Declan Hannon decides to call time, there is going to be a gap.
Yeah, for me,
that would be very hard to fill, Jack.
I wrote an article last year was he Limerick's greatest ever player? And when I say greatest, I suppose it's in terms of career, longevity, talent, obviously leadership. When you bottle it all into one, there's a very strong case to say Declan is Limerick's greatest ever player. Obviously, so talented, but came in with a lot of pressure, Matt. Heralded on that 𝘠𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘠 side. I think he made his Limerick debut shortly after his leaving cert, if not before. Again, went through those barren years. That day against Clare in the All-Ireland semi-final, it just didn't go his way. Like, he was 21 or 2 at the time, and to respond how he has. And I think he might be, alongside Keane Lynch, maybe Limerick's most unique player in the set of skills he has, in terms of playing that role number 6. And like, we've seen Dan Marcy do it, we've seen Kyle do it, but he's a different kind of player. We've brilliant players all over the field, but he's very different, I think, in how he approaches the game upstairs. I don't think there's anyone on Declan Hannon's intelligence levels on the field. So often the ball just comes to him, and that's not by fluke. That is reading of the game, and in terms of his reading of the game, he knows when he has to get up the field and score. He mightn't score every game, but when he does, it's generally an All-Ireland final or a Munster final or in Croke Park. Just incredible player.
I'm all the time saying, Jack, it's more than a coincidence that the All-Ireland semi-final we lost in 2019, we lost it when he was off the field. I've no doubt whatsoever if Declan Hannon was on the field, we'd have had a different result. Yeah,
we could be looking at a 6 in a row or a 5 in a row this year, or could have been 6 in a row. Yeah, but look, that's for history books. But both have Declan Hannon in there. My third name, looking at here, and I had him last year as well. We both had him, Keane Lynch. Now, you could make the case that they won an All-Ireland without Keane, but in terms of the performances, when you compare 2020 and 2021 and the first 5 months this year to 2022, there definitely was a drop off. Tom Morrissey said he's the best player in the country. I don't think there's any doubt in that. Keane Lynch, so key and arguably the key man in the entire Limerick operation.
I agree totally with you. I've got into trouble over things I've said about Keane Lynch, and none of them are derogatory, believe it or not. But I hold the view that Keane Lynch is the best hurler of all time. I'm convinced of it. And like he was missing for a lot of last year. Most of last year, he got injured against Waterford. But you know, he's back after a serious injury, and it's like as if he was never away. And you mentioned earlier on there in our cast that he didn't score against Kilkenny. Jack, he was crucial in the second goal, which you know, he picked out the position of Seamus Flanagan, and like it was a sublime bit of skill on his part, and Seamus Flanagan and Aaron Gillane did the rest, and look, I've said it all before.
Yeah, I think with Keane, ever outside of his scoring, like he assisted 2-5 in the first half of the All-Ireland final in 21 and scored 5 to make it 6 in the second half. I mean, he had 2 men of the match performances in the one All-Ireland final. Now I know Peter Casey will have something to say about that, but for me, what's nearly most impressive is he's always an outlet. You know, if Byrnes or Hannon or Hayes or Morrissey, Will Donoghue, Donovan, Tom Morrissey, Hegarty, if any of them are trouble, he is always open. Even if he's marked by 2 or 3 men, he'll stick out that right paw and he'll invariably catch it. Genius with the ball, genius without. Leader as well. You know, captain on the day, lifted a trophy. He was captain for the 2020 Munster Hurling League. You know, he seems to be the next in line for whenever Declan calls it a day, but probably will go down as Limerick's greatest. A very good chance he'll go down as the greatest of all time. Could be a third hurler of the year loading this year, because he'll be desperate to make an impact after last year. Keane Lynch is in both of our Limerick Hurling MVP's top 5. Your fourth one?
Diarmaid Byrnes.
Byrnes, reigning hurler of the year. I suppose, why'd you pick
look, Jack, a wing back that gives you a scoring return like he does is it's only part of the story, because he's an absolutely phenomenal defender.
Yeah,
you know, you never see his man doing anything, and like he's such a ball winner as well. Absolutely fantastic. Who'll forget the point he got against Kilkenny in the All-Ireland final last year? You know, but like last Sunday in the league, 5 points from wing back. Like if you have a wing back that's giving you 4, 5, 6, and in one case 8 points, he's a very, very valuable member, Jack.
Yeah, and, you know, he was hurler of the year for a reason, and he had 6 points the first day against Cork, and he never really relented in terms of scoring. And I suppose the scoring kind of hides how good of a defender he is, because it's very rare his men will get on the scoreboard. And you talk about iconic scores there. You know, he got, I think it might have been Limerick's last score at the weekend. There was a loose ball played across to him, and you know, Diarmaid's a big man, and the ball was just bounced off the sod and picked it up with his hand on the run, never broke stride, fired it over from inside his own half. You know, very few people can put over a score like that, and you're stepping in there.
He did it twice on Sunday. He did that twice.
Yeah, you know,
as much as say if you think the first one was a fluke, here's another.
Yeah, and you know, we spoke about the longevity of a lot of these players. Like Diarmaid captained the 2015 side. That, you know, it was I know they'd won minor Munsters the previous 2 years, but that 2015 one was, I suppose, when you could really start to believe as a Limerick fan that there was something special in the offing. And, you know, Diarmaid was part of that team. He was one of the first ones drafted into the senior team. And he's just getting better. You know, you could argue that he's a better player than he was 6 or 8 months ago when he won the Hurler of the Year. So, just we're so lucky. And to be honest, I don't even have him in my top 5 to leave out.
Like
the
he
Hurler
he missed part of the league this year, and talk about getting up to speed and catching up with the lads. Not a bit of it. He's right there with them.
Yeah, I feel bad for the lads in Dubai that had to come up with him, because maybe they might have been thinking he's had a few weeks off, he's had a holiday, mightn't be at the races, but my God, he has hit the ground running. But as I said, it didn't make my list, and which is, I haven't written down, but I've all written down, which is mad to think. But I just think maybe Colin Coughlin could develop into a player like that. Probably not as efficient, but a scoring wing back, or Kyle obviously offers something different, but another scoring wing back, and that's why I opted for 𝘠𝘰𝘷𝘦𝘳𝘪𝘠 as my 4th one on the list. We both had him last year. I'm not sure if he's maintained his spot in your list, but for me, he's the first person on the Limerick team that the opposition make contact with in that throw-in. He sets the tone straight away. Such a physical specimen. He's so loud. You can always hear him. He's always driving. The amount of shots you see of a Limerick player winning a free and Will is in the background celebrating, he's the enforcer on the team. I think he's the best midfielder in the country. Again, I think he's very unique in how he approaches the game. Darragh Donovan is probably of a more and more hurler, if you get me, probably more skillful with the ball, adds in a few more scores. But 𝘠𝘰𝘷𝘦𝘳𝘪 is just a powerhouse in the middle of the field. I think he gets into any sort of XV you want. I think any team be lucky to have him. So often lays down the marker. Like we remember when Jamie Byrnes was flying a few years ago, and 𝘠𝘰𝘷𝘦𝘳𝘪 destroyed him in both games against Noel McGrath, who should have been Hurler of the Year the previous year in 2020. Will completely destroyed him. Darragh Fitzgibbon, the 2021 final last year, just so abrasive against Kilkenny. For me, I have to have 𝘠𝘰𝘷𝘦𝘳𝘪𝘠. There was a group of us at the county final between Kilmallock and the Pearshig, and we just said, if you had one of the players, on show today, who would you pick? And every one of us went for 𝘠𝘰𝘷𝘦𝘳𝑪, and you had superstars, the likes of, Peter Casey, Mike Casey, Micheál Houlihan, Oisin O'Reilly, Graham Mulcahy, but 𝘠𝘰𝘷𝘦𝘳𝑪, there's just something about him, so unique. So Will makes my list.
I agree totally with everything you said about 𝘠𝘰𝘷𝘦𝘳𝑪. Absolutely, I fierce time for him as a player, but Jack, and that's why I semi-protested when you said at the start that it would have to be 5.
Yeah,
I think I didn't protest hard enough at that stage.
Yeah, I suppose it just makes it more tricky. Like I'm looking at the people I've left off here. Kyle Hayes for me is in the top 5 hurlers in the country every day of the week. But when the MVP one, if I was picking Limerick's 5 best players, Kyle is 100% in it. Similarly, Quaid Hegarty is the top 5 hurler in the country. On his day is unmarkable, unmatchable, arguably the best player in the country. Sean Finn is the best defender in the country. No arguments from anyone there. So key to what Limerick does. And I think he probably came closest to my selection. Now, I think we will have the same man as our number 5. Aaron Gillane is so integral to what Limerick do as just a scoring force, a target man. You can give Aaron any sort of ball. He'll take it. And I'll stop naming players there because I'll name them all and we'll name subs then. But we can do honourable mentions afterwards. But is your 5 the same as my 5?
I'm going for the 5th is Aaron Gillane.
Okay. Give it why you picked Aaron.
Well, I think we saw very, very clearly last Sunday his value to the team. First of all, going out in games, he's a marked man, and he has the capacity to move around and upset defenses and pull them around the place. And in one-to-one contact, Jack, he is excellent. Now, a lot of the time he's fouled. And doesn't and this is a beef that I have, doesn't at times get the protection that he deserves. But we saw last Sunday Aaron Gillane coming back to near his best and in Aaron Gillane proving how valuable he is to the Limerick team. We saw him catch that ball that Seamus Flanagan delivered, timing his offload to Barry Nash, goal. We saw him taking, instead of what most players would do, fumble and try to pick up the pass from Seamus Flanagan, he first timed it to the net.
Yeah.
You know, he's, and I'm not being conditioned by that, Jack. That solely is not, but that is a fair snapshot of what he's all about. But I think Aaron Gillane is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, and I've kind of gone defensive heavy on this. Keane Lynch will be my only attacker on my list today, but I think Aaron Gillane is very unique again. As you said, for all those reasons, he's so key, and I think just maybe he wasn't as missed in the start of the league as I think some fellas might have been. But like I had said it, that if you didn't have Aaron Gillane for the All-Ireland Championship, I don't think you'd be winning it. I think he's that sort of a difference maker. And there, you throw your hand up as if to say that's my point exactly. But the man I went for on my list is Barry Nash, and I suppose maybe the recency bias there could help Barry over the line. You had him last year. I have him this year. There's been a few swaps, and I mean, if we did this in 6 weeks' time, there'd be changes. But what kind of a corner forward, Matt, can you turn into an all-star cornerback, a Hurler of the Year nominee, completely changing how the role is played? I just don't think there's many people out there, if any, that could have made the transformation Barry did. I mean, he could have been disheartened with, not starting the 2018 final. He only came on in 2019, but from 2020 on, he's just been phenomenal. There was one slight error against Clare in the 2020 quarterfinal. There was a breaking ball. A few of them went to it. Wasn't necessarily Barry's fault, but maybe more experienced defender might have waited for it. But since then, cruel what he did to Kilkenny on Sunday afternoon, to go up and score 1-1 from play, and probably could have scored more if he wanted. Just the adaptability, leadership again, captain Limerick in the Munster League last year. Just for me, just lets Limerick play the way they play in many regards. I know. Yeah.
It was a fierce hard call for me to let Barry Nash out. I had him in last year, and I'm somebody that's in awe of the way he made the transition from. We can only just wonder, Jack, if he was in the forwards now, what kind of a forward he'd be. Absolutely outstanding. But there were eyebrows raised when he was moved initially to left half back. And he had a storming career there at left half back. And then when the vacancy came, was Mike Casey and Richie English were out for the first round of the Munster Championship in 2020. Was that the game that doubled up with the league final?
Yeah.
Against Clare. And we felt here in this, that Barry Nash, seeing that he made the transition from the forwards to wing back, that he would probably make the transition back another step, which he did. And he immediately settled into it, Jack. And as the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, there's making the transition to be a cornerback, and then there's making the transition to completely alter how the game is played and become a marked man at number 4. And I think Joe Quaid had a good tweet up there at the weekend, and I'll get it up. But I suppose it was kind of highlighting the difficulty of marking Barry. And he said, imagine being corner forward and your man scores 1-1 from play in the first half against the breeze. And I think that sums up just trying to mark Barry Nash. But look, we won't mention again who we missed out, because you could make a case for any of those players, and you could also make a case for one of those impact subs that are so crucial as well. And it comes back to that. I remember 2008 when Brian Cody was named man of the match for the All-Ireland final, I mean, you could put Paul Kinnerk or John Kiley in this list if you were so inclined. But I think the overall moral of the story is we're so blessed, Matt.
Yeah, I'd be well deep into the extended panel before I'd be struggling to make a case.